Welcome to Classic Value Investors and Microcap Explosions. This is Mariusz Konieczny. This is the first video in the video series that I am doing on mobile home park investing because it's an area where it's interesting, and I don't think a lot of you guys are aware of this area. So today I am interviewing Andy Tallone from CCI Investments. Andy, thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Andy, so let's start off like this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this, how you got into mobile home park investing, and why should people care about this area of real estate?
Okay. Well, I started young. At 22 years old, I got into real estate. I'm in the Bay Area, California. Uh, and since that time, I've probably invested in just about anything you've ever heard of, real estate and otherwise. I was really pushing hard in single family for many years, and single family is a challenge to get a lot of cash flow out of. It's mostly an appreciation thing. You kind of bank it on the market. And I was looking for something with greater cash flow. I stumbled onto a mobile home park in 2004 that I ended up buying. It was my first park. I bought it from the fellow that I work for today, Robert Merchant, the president of CCI. He was a listing agent on that, and that's how we met. Then I bought another one and another one. And before long, 2006, I joined the company. At that time, it was Robert and his secretary and me. We weren't doing anything but selling parks in California. But as California became so expensive and hard to do business, we started looking outside. Robert is from Mississippi, Alabama area. He was back there on a family trip and ended up buying a park. And then he bought another one and then another one. And then our California investors started to say, hey, that looks a lot better than what you're showing us. Can you get something like that for us? Well, we're not realtors in Mississippi. We're not going to sell you real estate, but we can run it for you. And that's really the missing ingredient for most people who invest in mobile home parks. They think they're going to run it themselves, and it's very challenging. You got to be on it all the time. So we slowly began to develop the operational side of our business in 2006, 2008, and it has progressed to a point now where today I'm the vice president of the company. We have 10 offsite consultants who run 58 mobile home parks in 16 states. We concentrate on operations. That's what we're all about. We're not here to sell you the real estate, and that's an important distinction. I'm a broker here in California. My whole life I've been in real estate, but we're not practicing real estate outside of California. We are consultants. Other people will sell you the real estate, and bless their hearts, I've been a realtor my whole life, but what does a realtor do at close of escrow? Their job is done, right? So they walk away, and they're not going to hire a manager for your park or help you find trailers or fix things up. That's not their job. That's where we come in. We are on the operations side, and not just basic property management. Property manager will collect the rent and do the books. We do much more than that. Mobile home parks really require a special brand of attention to keep up with the maintenance on the homes and so forth. So that's kind of where we've gone today. I think we're unique in the industry. I'm in it every day, and I have not run into anybody else who does what we do. We actually turn parks around. I mean, who can you hire that would know how to turn a mobile home park around?
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I kind of reached out to you, because you are definitely unique. But some of my listeners are very new to this space. I mean, we mostly do stock market investing, but we had some big gains over the last few years, and I am personally looking at, what can I take some of my gains and diversify it into something that produces income. But could you touch upon a little bit, like why are mobile home parks more better from the point of view of cash flow than single family homes? Like talk to me like I'm a beginner.
Well, okay. So it's a matter of scale, really. You imagine what it would take to get 100 doors in an apartment complex. That'd be pretty expensive. Mobile home parks in areas like the South, or what we would call flyover country, probably average somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 a space. Compare that to $100,000 to $200,000 a door, and you begin to immediately see the dynamics of the numbers here. Mobile home parks are cash flow machines. They're not about appreciation so much. although they do appreciate, of course, but it's more about the cash flow. That's what gives them their value. If you look at $1 million mobile home park, you say, hey, if you scrape those trailers off, there wouldn't be anything here but cheap land and underground utilities. There's not $1 million worth of stuff here. Where's the value? The value comes from the net income that they create. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is the banks don't totally get it. But the good thing is that that's something that's a lot easier to change, the income of the property, especially with parks, than it would be in your apartment complex. Mobile home parks are expandable. They're an upside machine, and another people are attracted to them. Now, the market's so hot right now today that there are no nice, I don't want to say there are no, don't make absolute statements, right? There are very few, very hard to find nice, clean, straight up deals. I want a 6 cap, I want an 8 cap, nice and clean and all done. Those things disappear instantly today with about 5 offers stacked on top of them. And what that leaves is parks that other people pass up on. The Main Street passes up on things with like vacancies, well or septic, small towns, or possibly park-owned homes. Some people stay away from those things, and that creates opportunity for us because that's our stock in trade. Those 5 features that I just mentioned, even before the market heated up like it is now, that's what we do. You can't have upside without vacancies. That's where the upside comes from. And city services are very people don't consider the cost. So a lot of alternatives out there. But why are people moving into mobile home parks? It's because of the cash flow and the bang for the buck in a way. I mean, for the amount of money that you can buy a park for, you'd be lucky to even find a decent apartment building for, and the return probably wouldn't be as great. What really comes into play with mobile home parks, though, is the upside aspect. I've never seen anything like it in my real estate career that has the same upside potential as mobile home parks. People come to me and they say, I want to build a mobile home park. And I got some land, or I found some land. And I say, that's fine. I can help you with that. But here's the thing. By the time you buy that land and spend a year going through your entitlements, another year putting in your improvements, you get it all done. You got a lot of money in tied up in it. It still doesn't make any money because it's an empty park. There's nothing in there. The money comes from filling up those spaces. So rather than build a park, how about buying a park that has a bunch of empty spaces in it already? If it's a cap rate deal, you're only paying for the parts of the park that are actually making money now. So if you buy a park at a 7 or 6 cap and it's got 50 empty spaces, those empty spaces weren't part of that pricing strategy because they're not making any money right now. So you just got 50 empty spaces for free. Now, we just did that in Alabama. We're closing escrow next week on a 200 space in Alabama. And there's 105 empty spaces in there. And, that's money in the bank if you have a good strategy for filling them. And that's what we do, either new or used homes. 105 spaces, probably you're not going to find 105 used homes today, but we can fill a lot of them with used homes, and the rest of them will be new homes. And so upsiding a park, you can put a used home on a space in most states in the South for between $20,000 and $25,000 all in. So, imagine being able to do that in the apartment business as an example. There's no way you're going to build an apartment, build a door for $25,000, but you can do it in this business. And we do it over and over again. Right now we're managing, I think the number was 1,035 park-owned homes between all the parks that we're running. We're big believers in park-owned homes. Although some people want to fill the spaces and sell the units, and that's another strategy. We do that also, but the biggest money is in owning the homes, honestly.
Okay, so if you get a park that has some vacancy, like what you said, no home on it, and it's you can bring in a used home for 20 to 25,000. So give me an idea of how much rent you can charge. And I know it's different from area to area, but just give me an idea what you can charge for rent for such a home, and how much it costs you per year to operate that home, or your holding costs.
Very good question. Well, first off, we're talking about the South. That's kind of our biggest market these days. We do a lot of business in Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma. And in these markets, And we do a lot of stuff that is not in big major cities. Out of the 58 parks we run, probably 50 of them are in what you would consider to be small towns. So we like small towns too. That's another one of our little niches. But in these markets, you're going to get somewhere between $500 and $600 a month, probably, for a used mobile home, 3-bedroom typically. You spend 25 grand putting it in, you get $600 a month. That's $7,000, $7,200 a year. Out of our 1,353, that's the number, 1,353 park-owned homes that we're managing right now. Our average cost of ownership on those homes is about $1,000 per year per home. And that's not just maintenance and repair. You got to put a tag on it every year, just like you do on your car. You have to insure it. So all of those things combined average out to about $1,000 a year per home. So if you're in the $600 market, you get $7,000 a year in rent. You're going to net $6,000 on your $25,000 trailer. That's like 30% on your money. That's pretty hard to beat. The better deal is that if you buy a park, now the one had 85 park-owned homes in it. 28 of them need to be removed. They're pretty bad. About 25 or so are occupied, and the other 25 are vacant and are repairable. Now, we have crews of people that we bring in that do this work for us. You don't want to over improve them. I mean, if you got a guy that says it's going to be $20,000 to fix a $15,000 home or $20,000 home, that doesn't make sense. We try to hit a number we think will be somewhere around $7,000 per home to get them ready to rent. And so again, if you're netting $6,000 a year on a $7,000 repair job, that's like an 85% return on investment, So there's a lot of bang for the buck in this business, and it's all in the trailers. So that's how we do it. That's one approach.
Yeah. And what if like you said, sometimes you can't find enough older homes that you can refurbish and bring it into your park. Let's say you have to buy a new home. So run this math on a new home, and I would assume you would get a little bit higher rent on a new home.
You will. Not as much bang for the buck. Again, on average, let's just say that $25,000 is the number for putting in a used home in your park. It's probably going to be between $45,000 and $50,000 to get a brand new home in there after setup and everything like that. And if you're getting $600 for your used home, you're probably going to get $850 for the new one. We've got a park in Georgia right now. We put 21 brand new homes in there last year. The older homes in the park get about $500, $550. The new homes get about $700. So when you look from a bang for the buck perspective, new homes are not as good a deal. You're not going to cash flow them as well. But again, if you buy those homes and you finance them, your tenants will end up paying off that home, and ultimately you'll end up, with homes that you own free and clear, brand new homes, be a few years old by then. And, so long term, you end up owning all the homes or most of the homes. It's nice to have a mix. A park should have a mix. Tenant-owned homes, people that are renting space from you that own their own homes, they bring stability to the park. They're not going anywhere. It costs $2,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 to move a mobile home. So they're not likely to go anywhere. However, in most of these flyover states, if you will, space rent's about $200 a month. It's really hard to make a lot of money at $200 a pop. That's why in these markets, park-owned homes are so popular. In places like California, where you're getting $500, $600, $700 space rent, it's not so popular. You can make good money just renting spaces. But in these states, in the South, the Midwest, and so forth, where you're getting $150, $200 space rent, you really want to own the trailers. It's the only way to really get a good leg up on things. So new homes, there are so many people building new homes now, and they go where the market is. The South and the Midwest is full of manufacturers who make brand new mobile homes. A lot of them, are probably above our price point. We're looking for nice rental units. You want to find some factory that's close enough to your park because it's not inexpensive to move a home. You don't want them to be too far away. But buying new homes is convenient because once you get your order in, you can get 4 a month if you want. You can get 4 a week if you want. Again, what we're experiencing today, this market being so hot, the mobile home park market and the mobile home market are on fire, just like everything else. So When we ordered that first batch of homes for the park in Georgia, which was in very late 2019, it was like a 4 to 6 week before the first home showed up. You order it, 6 weeks later, it shows up. Right now, we're at 8 to 12 months to get the first home. So once you get that first home, now you're in the pipeline and they can start showing up at the pace that you set. A little hard to predict what you're going to want a year from now, but that's the reality of it. New homes, like everything, they get plus and a minus. You know, they're more expensive, but they're a lot more convenient. They come with a warranty. Of course, they're a new home. In the case of that park in Georgia,
and
that was a 70 space park.
they can also be about the new homes. They can also be financed, where if you
That's
bring in
correct.
older homes, you got to pay all cash for it, right?
No, you can actually finance older homes too. Depends, of course. So 21st Mortgage is one of Warren Buffett's companies, and they are a financial service for the mobile home industry. And so let's say that you were buying a park today, as soon as you get into escrow, if it looks like a keeper, you're not even through your due diligence yet, we get you set up with 21st Mortgage. There's a qualifying process. It's 2-3 weeks. It's no big deal, but they're going to want to know everything about you and everything about the park. Then they're going to require you have a dealer's license in the state where your park is. Again, no big deal. 2-3 weeks, $300-400. That's it. And then from then on, once you're approved, you can use all of their financial services. They've got loans to buy brand new homes to keep as rentals in your park where you own them. They've got loans where you can buy used homes. Now, the used homes, you actually buy them out of pocket. You get them moved and set up in your park. And then once they're set up and done, they come out, they appraise it, and they'll loan 100% of the appraised value. So if you buy it right and you keep your costs down, you can get those things then, sometimes even get a little more money than you had in it. But let's just say that, the goal is to break even on that. Sometimes you don't quite get all of your installation money back. But yes, you can finance used homes. There are certain parameters. Obviously, they're not going to go very old. Something I think the oldest they'll do is probably mid-90s if they're going to finance it. New homes, they'll finance all day long, no problem, because they got an invoice from the manufacturer. But another plan that they have, and this is something fairly new in our industry. Let's say you want to fill your park up with tenant-owned homes. You don't want to own the homes. You just want space rent. So you go on their flooring plan. You go pick out your homes at the new home manufacturer. You bring the invoice to 21st. 21st buys them and puts them in your park, no money down and no payments for a year while you sell the homes. Now, in a scenario like that, the first home we'd set up would be a sales office / model home. And we sell them right out of there. Even before they were done and even showed up, we can sell them off of drawings, Now, the key to this is that 21st Mortgage also offers the takeout financing for the consumer that's going to buy these homes. All they need is a 5% down payment on a $40,000 home. That's like $2,000 down, a 650 credit score, and they'll stretch the payments out for 23 years on that consumer loan. So for a $40,000 mobile home purchase, they'll be in it about $300 a month. And that leaves enough room for you, the park owner, to charge some healthy space rent, because that's the only reason you're doing that scenario. You're not probably going to make any money selling those homes. You're doing the whole thing on a break even just to get that space rent. So you've got to be in a market where you can get 350, 300 space rent, 350 or more, or it's probably not worth all the trouble. If you're in one of these $200 markets and that's all you can get, that's something you better look at. You've got to be in a market where you can get a little more space rent than that. But that's a very viable way to go. And you never have to sign your name on any debt, as long as you get them sold in the first year. If you can't sell them in the first year, you got to buy them. And again, they'll give you the loan to buy it. Everything with 21st Mortgage always leads to another loan. But they're a valuable asset in this business. I'll tell you, it can supercharge your investment plans using their financing. It's not cheap, but it still makes sense.
Yeah. So talk to me about because the reason why I found you originally was because of your statements about how you think that there is so much misinformation about mobile home park investing that maybe comes from a lot of the mobile home park investing boot camps out there that just kind of
Hmm.
let me have you talk about the misinformation.
Well, Some of it's misinformation probably, but some of it's just differences in opinion and the way we approach it. I know who you're talking about, the boot camp guys, and they advocate no park-owned homes. And I understand why. They're doing these boot camps in Southern California. People fly in from all over the country to learn about parks. And they don't even know that people like us exist, that we can run their park for them and do this turnaround. They're trying to figure out how to do it themselves. And so the seminars try to design a really simple plan for them with as few moving parts as possible. And if that's the case, and you've never done this before, well, managing and maintaining a bunch of park-owned homes might be too challenging. So they try to keep it simple for them. But I say, and I can always tell when the seminars come out because I get a rash of calls, people that got like a mantra. They'll call me and say, I'm looking for a park, got to be 100,000 Metro Center or better, no park-owned homes, city services, and about an 8 cap or better. I say, let me guess. And then I say the name of the seminar. And they say, yeah, how'd you know? So, well, you're the 8th call today, asking for the exact same thing. So if you're being taught that strategy, and they're putting through the boot camps by the hundreds, I suppose, and everybody's going out into the market looking for the same thing, well, what's going to happen? And that's where we're at today. All that good stuff that everybody thinks they want, it's all gone. I mean, it's really, really hard to find a nice, clean, straight up park today. All the deals that we see have got some kind of an edge to them. Upside, they might have a well, vacancies, whatever. And again, that creates opportunities for us. That's the way we look at it. Not in every case, obviously. Some parks can't be saved, but the ones that we work with, you pick out the right park with a good plan and so forth, and they can be a gold mine. So as far as the misinformation, well, again, if you're going to live on space rent alone, you're really limited. You're going to only get so much space rent. Another thing is that people who own their own trailers have more rights than people who live in your trailer. So figure you're going to add at least 30 days to your eviction process if they own the trailer. Another thing that nobody ever thinks about, especially in the South or in Hurricane Alley or something, is if a storm comes through and damages a bunch of trailers, if they're all tenant owned, they get a check from the insurance. And the likelihood that they're going to buy another home and come into your park is pretty slim. They're going to be gone. You'll never see them again. But if you own the homes, you get the check, and then you can put in more homes or newer homes or whatever you want. But the real thing is the cash flow. And that's what it's all about for us. So if, let's say you've got a park in, again, flyover country is a good way to put it, and you're getting $200 space rent. All right. Compared to a park-owned home, same park, you're getting $500. That's not even as much as, that's kind of like the bottom end of the market. We get $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. Going to cost you $1,000 a year to own it. So you're going to net $5,000 on that home. The space right next to it you're renting, you're only going to net $2,400 a year, $200 a month times 12. So you're going to get less than half on the space that you're netting on the home. And so it just really adds up. And again, when you start to look at the dynamic of buying a park with a bunch of empty homes in it and fixing them for $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 a piece and renting them for $600 or $700 a month. I mean, that's a huge return on investment. You turn a park around really fast that way too. We'll bring a crew in there, like the park. That park was sold for $1.2 million for a 200 space park. That's only $6,000 a space. It'll cost you more than that to build a space today. And it came with 85 park-owned homes. And the guy financed it with $200,000 down. And he deferred the payments for the first year, put it on the back end of the loan to give the new buyer, a little leeway to be able to turn this park around. Now, why on earth would a seller do that today? It's all a matter of motivation. Park's eating money. The buyer coming in, he's going to be prepared. He's going to feed that thing about $5,000 a month until we fix the first 8 homes. Now, the first 8 homes will probably knock down in a month or 2. So it'll turn around quickly. But you got to be wired right to go into a deal like that and know that you're buying it and you're going to be, feeding it money for a little while. That's what created the opportunity. That's why the seller sold it for the price he did and did the financing that he did. As far as the buyer goes, he's a real creative guy. He looks at it and says, this is a 16% down payment on this deal going in, $200,000 on $1.2 million. And And if I have to pay, even if I have to pay for 6 months, $5,000 a month, that's another 30 grand. It's still a great down payment. It's like I'm deferring my down payment. So he has the right attitude, and that's what you have to have in this business if you're going to do these heavy lift turnaround deals.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do
So
all the heavy lifting, but he's got to write the checks.
right. Okay. And so I guess the main reason why uh, mobile home park owners don't want to own, the units, the mobile home units, is because of the repairs and maintenance. Like, oh,
Correct.
you're going to spend all this money on repairs and maintenance, and you're not going to have any cash flow. So,
Right.
what would you say about this? Because you guys have a unique system of how to keep your expenses down.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's not just one silver bullet, it's a lot of things. But basically, what you have to do is get that on site manager or maintenance person, as the case may be, to inspect all of those park owned homes on a regular, ongoing basis. We go through quarterly. Every month, we do 1/3 of our homes, and by month 4, we're starting over again. And we go through, and the main enemy with mobile home parks is water intrusion. That would be either roof leaks or plumbing leaks, but lots of other stuff too. Some of these homes, got a lot of years on them now, and we just keep renting them, and they'll do fine as long as you maintain them, as long as you keep up with them. So what normally happens, and this is what gives parks a bad rep, is that, or rather, park-owned homes a bad rep, I mean to say, is that an owner will put a tenant into his park-owned home, and he won't go in it again until they move out 4 years from now. Turns out it's had a roof leak for the last 3 years, and now you got a $5,000 framing job before you can rent it again. So we want to avoid that. We want our manager to go in there and spot that roof leak when it's just a little stain in the ceiling. He goes out with a ladder and a 5-gallon bucket of snow seal and a paint roller, and we're done. And that's how you keep your costs down to $1,000 per year per home as an average. I mean, if you own one home and the heater goes out, well, you're going to bust the numbers. But if you own 20 homes, you're probably going to average out. And so they have a bad reputation really because, for lack of a better term, kind of owner neglect. People don't realize how complicated this business is. There's a lot of moving parts. And that's why a regular property manager probably won't get the most out of your park. You need somebody who specializes in parks and understands this business. So, you've got to be on that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And
And then so when you have, let's say, a new mobile home that you bring in versus a used, refurbished, older home, how much can you expect for that kind of home to last you? Because you're not counting for appreciation. So how long can you have that cash flow before you have to throw it out?
Huh. That's a really interesting question. And this blows people away when I tell them these things. I don't want to say they'll last forever because nothing really lasts forever, but I haven't seen one wear out yet. Now, the only ones that we throw out are the ones where a tree falls through it and breaks it in two, or it burns to the ground, or something like that. I mean, it has to be catastrophic for us to want to lose it. It's always cheaper to fix it than it is to replace it. I mean, almost always. Like I say, if it broke in two or something, then probably not. But in most cases, you can, even an expensive fix for us is 10 or 12,000 bucks. And it's going to cost you 20 to 25,000 to put a new home in there, and you got to get rid of the old home. That's going to cost you $1,000 to $2,500 just to get rid of the old home. So it makes more sense to find a way to fix the new home if you can. Now, as far as age goes, I've been in mobile home parks. I met an appraiser in one of our parks in California one time, and he's walking through there. He says, "I don't even know what to make of these trailers." He says, "This thing is like from the early 60s. What do you think this is worth?" And I said, "I don't know, but the lady that lives in there been in there 35 years, and she pays $450 a month like clockwork. So what's that worth? It's bringing in just $6,000 a year. It's got to be worth something, and as long as we maintain it, I don't want to make absolute statements like nothing. It'll last forever. I don't know if they'll last forever, but they'll last for decades. Like I say, we haven't had one wear out yet. And wearing out is, again, a matter of owner neglect. If you don't ever take care of your stuff, it's like your car. If you never change your oil and stuff, it's not going to last as long as if you take really good care of it. So we take good care of them. We also take good care of our tenants, and that's a really big thing. this business has a reputation for, the bottom of the barrel type stuff. And we don't buy into that. These are good people that rent from us. They're looking for a good housing value. And this is a great housing value. I'll tell you, when you consider that in most of our markets, we're renting for $500-600 a month, get a 3-bedroom mobile home. Well, the alternative for that money is probably a Section 8 apartment building. Most of them have a waiting list. And what do you end up with if you get in? Common walls, common floor, ceiling. You got to go down the stairs and walk 100 feet to get to your car. For the same money, you can get a mobile home. You got 30, 40, 50 feet between you and your neighbor. You can plant a little garden if you want. You can park your truck right by your front door. So it's a good alternative for a lot of people. They would rather live that way for that kind of money than live in an apartment complex. And we take good care of them. As long as they're paying the rent and obeying the rules, we take really good care of them. When they call and they've got an issue with their home, we're right on it. And we take really, really good care of the homes and of our tenants.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about your company, because I do want to know myself. Because when you look at the mobile home park, let's say you want to buy one, and you're like, oh, it has to be turned around. I have to do this, and that, and then I'm like, shit, I don't have time to do this. So, and then I found you guys, and not a lot of people know about you, and it's like you guys do the turnaround. So, like, I want to know, walk me through it. Like, I'm your client, I'm coming in. What can you do with me? Like, what can I expect from you? How much is it going to cost me? And just how are you going to make me money?
Okay, great. Well, first off, there's 3 kind of clients that we work with. Number 1, someone like yourself looking for a park, and we'll help you find a good park and so forth. Someone else comes to us and they found their own park through their own means, but they don't know what to make of it. They need our help evaluating it and so forth. We also get a lot of park owners. They already own the park, and they are having trouble getting, the upside out or running it well or getting their collections up, whatever it is. And they'll hire us to come and turn their park around. So those are the 3 main types of business that we do. As far as if you were to come to us today, let's say you brought a park that you found on LoopNet or something. We do a free evaluation, no cost, no obligation. You send me anything you found online. I do my best to turn it around in a couple of hours, because we're in this market now. If you found a good one and it's worth going after, we got to jump on it now. You can't wait a day and all this, or there'll be somebody else there. So I turn them around pretty quick, the evaluation. And what I do with that is, and it's got to be fast. It's not full due diligence. I base it on what I have. I'm going to do this in 2 hours. I'm going to try and figure out what your net will be on day 1. Okay, now the seller selling the park, he might be running the park himself. Okay, his costs are going to be lower than yours. You're going to have to hire a manager. And if you have us run your park for us, you got to pay us. And a lot of these managers that are running it themselves, they got a big storage locker full of old used water heaters and plumbing fixtures and toilets and stuff. And, they'll spend half a day looking for that one little part they know they have, so they don't have to spend any money. We're not going to be able to do that. When we go into the park, we're going to run it like a business. We're going to send the manager down to Home Depot and buy new parts. So your maintenance will probably be higher than an owner operator's would be. So we have to look at that and do the best we can to figure out realistically what the park's going to make for you on day 1. And then we work a pro forma plan out based on what we see. And all we can do is projections, obviously, at this point. As I say, it's very early in the game, but it gives you an idea of the potential of the park. Now, I don't think it's worth pursuing. I'll let you know, and we don't spend a lot of time on it. But if there's something there, looks good, I'll tell you. I think this is one we should move on right away, and I give you a bid for our services. So first, let me get into what we do for you. So as I say, number 1, we evaluate the park. We also call that packaging the deal. Some of this stuff you get online is a mishmash of just garbage, and you've got to just sort it all out and boil it down to what it's really about. Number 2, we're going to help you figure out how to finance the deal. We're not lenders, but we know a lot of lenders. We know a lot of, financing options. Number 3, we'll help make sure you get a contract with the seller. Again, we're not brokers outside of California. We're not going to negotiate the contract for you, but we're going to help you, make sure you write it right. You write it the right way. And we handle all that for you to make sure you get into a good contract, not just general speaking, but specific to mobile home parks. There's certain things we want to make sure we build in to that contract. Then we're going to help you with all your due diligence. That'll include a trip out to the property. The guy on the park in Southern California. I'm from Northern California. We flew out there, met in Birmingham airport, and drove out to the park, spent 2.5 days on the ground, and then came back. You have to pay my travel. That's the one thing you're at risk if you back out of the deal. I got to get my travel covered. Other than that, so then we go in, that's usually in week 3 of our due diligence. In week 4, the final week, usually, if it's a 30-day due diligence cycle, we create a plan for the park. It's a 2-part plan, written plan. First part is the operational plan, how it should be run. The second part is the turnaround plan and what that'll look like. Then we tailor the plan to you. You got to like the plan. It's your plan. Once that's done, we help you form your LLC, get your EIN, get your bank account opened, and we wrap our arms around the park and start running it, managing it. And then we work on the turnaround, whatever that is. Obviously subject to your approval. If we find a used home, hey, we got this used home, we can buy it, get it installed for 20 grand. You just look okay to you, you approve, and you say yes, and we do it. We don't do anything like that without, your approval, obviously. So, and then it's whatever it takes at that point. We have a list of services that we provide, but there's stuff we do all the time that isn't on the list. We'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. And we have parks that we've run for some of our clients for years and years. Some of them have been through several owners. We have parks that we've run for 4 or 5 different owners over the years. And when the next guy sells them, we'll probably run it for the next guy who buys it from him. So we do a good job. I don't know of anybody else that does what we do. And you're going to get a lot for your money. Now, how do we get paid? We get paid in 2 ways. The first way is through a consulting fee. It's charged at close of escrow, and you don't owe it unless the escrow closes. So if you don't get your financing together or you back out during due diligence or something, you don't owe us anything other than my travel. And the other way, and the minimum fee today is $50,000, by the way. So if the deal doesn't make sense with a $50,000 fee, then it's probably just too small for us. There's only so much of us to go around today. Like I say, everybody wants mobile home parks. If they discover us, they want us to do it for them. The small deals are just as much trouble as the big deals. You just don't make as much money on them. So we have to hold out for deals that make sense for us, for what we do. We bring a lot of value to the table, but if it's too small a park, all that value, it doesn't probably add up to 50 grand.
What's too small?
Right size park, obviously, it's a pretty good value.
What's too small?
Let's say I had a guy that just called me up. He wants to buy a 6-space park in Georgia, 6 spaces. And he wanted our help. And I said, well, bless your heart. I'll give you some free advice if I can. My advice would be don't buy a 6-space park. But, even if we were willing to do that, we'd charge you $50,000 to run a 6-space park. That doesn't make any sense. There's not enough value that we could deliver in a park that small that would justify our cost. Now you get into a 30-space park or anything bigger than that, and now it starts to make sense. So the other way we get paid is, and by the way, it could be higher. Project that I was telling you about, that's a $100,000 consulting fee. That is going to be about a 4-year project for us. We've got 30 odd homes to fix. We've got 28 homes to demolish. After we demolish them, we'll have 134 vacant spaces to fill. The park needs other stuff as well. So that's a big job, and we have to charge more for that. So it'll be a case-by-case basis. Our minimum is 50 grand. And again, if you think about what you're going to get for the money and the totality of the deal, that's pretty good value. You can spend that much money on a property manager and get nowhere.
From my point of view, if you can actually turn around a park and deliver the value, I am happy to pay you 50 grand, 100 grand, as long as you do it, because I don't freaking want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I don't either. I don't even do it on my own parks. I own parks and I have my staff do it too. I don't want to do it anymore. I ran my first few parks before we had our management side set up, and I don't ever want to do it again. The other way we get paid is a monthly fee. If we're running your park, we're going to charge you a monthly fee. It's a flat fee. Generally speaking, that runs between about $500 and $900 a month. Again, if it's a larger park with a lot more moving parts, could be more. If it's smaller, could be less. But that's basically it. That is subject to change as prices go up. Everything's going up these days. It goes up incrementally from time to time. But that gets you in, and that's everything. There's no hidden costs. We don't have any other profit centers built into this for us. We have crews of people that we run that do all of the repair work and so forth on these homes and these parks. And, that's construction people. Can you imagine keeping crews of construction people running? We have 2 full-time people that just keep them going. And it's like herding cats, I mean, they're not easy to, keep everybody up and running all the time. That's part of what we bring to the table. There's no markup in the construction for us at all. You pay just what the construction people charge. That's one more thing we just bring to the table as part of the package. Another thing, when we find trailers for you, almost everybody in this business marks up the trailers. If they find used homes, they'll put 1,000 or 2,000 on top of it, just as a matter of fact. We don't do that. You pay exactly what the home costs, where there's no markup there. So the only 2 ways we get paid are the consulting fee up front and the monthly. And you'll always know going in what that is, and it won't change.
Okay, and then if people want to go and find a park, they can obviously use a broker. They can go and reach the sellers directly. But you sometimes have parks that you are managing that they might buy parks from you. Like walk me through the process of how can someone get a park.
Okay. Well, again, we're running 58 parks right now, and some of those are always for sale. Some people, they're turnaround people that, will take a park to a certain point and then flip out of it and go get another turnaround deal. Other people, honestly, need to sell. We get some people that get into this turnaround project that needs some capital, and then something happens. They get a divorce, they get sick, something else goes wrong somewhere else in their life, and they can't finish the project. So we help get them out of it and get somebody else into those projects that can finish them. And, if we're already running it, well, we've got absolutely reliable numbers, and that's a rare thing today. You go online, you'll never really know 100%, no matter how good your due diligence is, if you're looking at everything or not. With us, we're collecting the rent, we're paying the bills, so we know what the real numbers are. We're running the park and the on-site manager there, and if there's any problems at that park, we're probably well aware of them, probably already working on them. So it's a little safer bet, if you will, buying something that we already have that level of familiarity with. So we've got all the inside numbers and so forth on it. Some of them are for sale. We don't sell them again. Outside of California, we're not selling real estate. We'll tell you about them, and you buy them direct from the owner, but we get our consulting fee because we are going to run it for you and finish that project. So in a case like that, you avoid the real estate commission. If you find your own park online, you're going to be paying a realtor and us. So if you like one of the parks that we happen to have, you can save a little money on that. And again, you get a little bit of a surer picture, or a lot more. I mean, absolutely surer picture of what you're getting into compared to buying one online from a stranger.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add on mobile home park investing before I ask you about like how people can reach you?
Okay. Well, we've all heard that the middle class is going away. The American dream is becoming unattainable for the normal middle class people, which is owning a home. And that's true. Uh, Everybody likes a strong economy. Progress is great. But the fallout is that people that grow up in these small towns get priced right out of their own market. It's getting harder and harder for people to buy their first home today. So you look at the cost of construction today, it starts at about $200 a square foot. Now, this park in Georgia that we just bought the 21 new homes for, we were buying brand new, 960 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, air conditioned, central heat and air homes from a manufacturer, nicely optioned too. We optioned up the kitchen cabinets and the countertops and the appliances. We added a window over the kitchen sink, which it didn't have. We upgraded the bathrooms and the closets and whatnot, and we were getting those for about $37,000. Now that's almost 1,000 square feet. So you're at a cost of building those at about $40 a square foot. Brand new homes, and nice. Move it in, set it up, you're probably at $45 a square foot, to put a brand new mobile home on a piece of land maybe, or in your park or whatever. There's no comparison with what the traditional housing market costs to get in. So this is kind of, a lot of people are seeing this as the future of the middle class housing market. Not in all markets. Some places will still be cheap enough, but in a lot of these markets, big cities and stuff, people are going to be priced out of single family homes. And this will be a style of ownership that appeals to a lot of people. A lot of parks are coming in these days that are designed to look like subdivisions. They're not supposed to look like parks. I went to a manufacturer show last year, and they're working on homes now that will sit on the ground. They won't sit up in the air like traditional mobile homes, they're only 2.5, 3 feet up. These are designed to sit on the ground. They only have one step in, and they're designed to look like a house. So this is the direction it's going. And what we have right now is wider spread acceptance of mobile homes and mobile home parks than I've ever seen before. When I got into this business, I'd been selling real estate for 30 years. And I'd go to my clients and I'd say, hey, these mobile home parks. And they go, are you crazy? Mobile home parks? I wouldn't even consider that. Up to maybe 5 years ago, that was what people are saying. Now today, everybody wants them. They've now discovered them and they're becoming mainstream. So this whole thing's catching on. The market in general today, real estate, red hot. Well, we've got an added component of red hotness, if you will, in mobile home parks because they're just now gaining mainstream acceptance. Now you've got all these fund managers and, REITs and syndications. They're buying up inventory. They never would have even looked at mobile home parks before. I know, I tried. And so now we're on an upward spiral here of mobile home parks. It's still early. You're not on the ground floor anymore, but you're on maybe the second or third floor of a 10-story building. So if you get in early enough, you're going to gain all that market swing when this becomes absolutely mainstream accepted. It's almost there. As soon as the lenders get on board, and they're not quite there yet. And I don't want to overemphasize that it's hard to finance these things. I have a handful of lenders that I go to that we can finance parks through, but it's still more challenging than other real estate classes. But it's getting better all the time. What happened in 2008 with the big crash was that lenders began to see that they had these big portfolios they were lending, and the apartment buildings and the single family and the strip malls and the warehouses all went belly up, but the mobile home parks seemed to sail right through. And so by 2010, they began to reform their opinions about mobile home parks. And by 2012, they were in the game. And so today they're getting stronger and stronger. It's only a matter of time before we'll have, wide stream acceptance among lenders of mobile home parks. They have no choice. There's too many people doing it now. It's too strong an asset class. They make too much money. They want in.
Yeah,
so that's
perfect.
another thing that's
Yeah.
going to drive this market. And if you get in, in the earlier part of this upswing, you're going to benefit by the push.
Yeah, perfect. I hope that my listeners benefited from this. I hope if they have more questions, maybe we can do this again. But in the meantime, if someone has any questions, give us your contact info, your website, whatever it is that you want to share, and I will put your website and contact info in the description of this video.
Great, thank you. The website is mobile-home parks-for sale, run together as one word.com. That is probably one of the most comprehensive sites on mobile home park operations that you'll ever find. I get told that all the time. It's a wealth of information. So check that out. And that goes through everything that we believe in and everything we've been doing. My phone number is area code 925-323-2134. And if you call me, I'll take the call. I'll take the time and get your questions answered.